You guys hear this? Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome to the On Second Thought Sports Show on the Mental Conditioning Podcast. We're very excited to be here today. This is going to be an explosive show. We got a lot going on. As you can see, there's so much going on that we had to split up and to take different locations this week just to be able to cover everything. And we still, it's almost like one of the fountains going off. As I'm here in Las Vegas, you're going to see in a little while, the fountain's going to actually maybe be going off down during the show. It's like one of those cartoons where the water's just popping up from everywhere, and you're just kind of trying to stop the water from coming. That's the type of sports week we had. That's the type of sports weekend that we have had, and it's still not over. I'm down here. I'm on location in Las Vegas. In a few hours, I'm going to be heading over to the arena to check out Inoue to get it on. Certainly one of the young Japanese stars that is in the sport. This guy is amazing. I'm really looking forward to getting a chance to check him out and see what he has to offer. But he is a sensational, dynamite young fighter. So we started off at that current, and let's back it up a little bit. Of course, we got a lot of NBA stuff to cover as well, but we have our usual participants in the house. As I said earlier, I'm Elliot.
Isaiah.
Aaron.
So we're all here. The gang is all here. We're going to, get right into it. As time is short, but information is large indeed. I think we should start at the boxing. Let's start with that. It was just a tremendous. We've been talking about this the past couple of weeks about boxing, and the week is upon us. This was a powerful weekend starting Friday night, and we're going to really get into that. We were able to sit down and watch those fights on Friday and talk a little bit about that. A lot happened on Friday. I was concerned about the Times Square effect. We'll get into that in a little while, but let's just talk about the fights themselves. Let's start with the good. It's not too much good, in my opinion, that went on this weekend, but let's start with the good. Teofimo. I think Teofimo was tremendous this week. He looked very sharp in that fight. Teofimo, I know one of you saw it. Who saw? Isaiah, did you see the Teofimo fight?
I did.
Talk a little bit about what you saw from Teofimo.
I mean, Teofimo compared to, everybody else, and I'd honestly, personally would say, including the Canelo fight, he looked the sharpest out of everybody. He looked the best, dominating his opponent. He was throwing his shots compared to, the rest of the fights. Haney and Canelo, both fights didn't really throw a lot of punches, more cardio than there was really boxing. Teo was really doing what he does best, getting in the ring, dominating his opponent, being very technical with his punches, very powerful performance for him compared to, everybody else.
Yeah, his opponent, Barboza, give him credit. I didn't know he was undefeated, so he was an undefeated guy. It was one of those situations where, he's a good fighter. Looks like he's a good fighter. He just needs a little bit more seasoning to him. And Teofimo does have seasoning on his game, and he showed it. He looked very sharp, I thought, in the work that he did against him. So far, to be honest with you, he's fighter of the weekend. He really looked sharp. Teofimo is one of those guys to me that he's up and down in his performances. There's times where he looks really good, and there's times where he's just like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why anyone's even really talking about him. But this is definitely something that I think focus is big. We're going to really be using that word in a few minutes about focus and how important focus is. This is the On Second Thought sports show, and it is on the Mental Conditioning podcast. So we talk a lot about mindset, and focus is a big part of sports. And you saw a guy that, for whatever the reason, on Friday, looked to be really on his game, and he looked to be in great shape, looked to be very focused, and it came up in his display and output. Just a dominating performance. And again, not against a tomato can. The guy was undefeated. There was some issues, I think, in terms of his experience, and Teofimo took him apart. From there, we went into the Haney fight, which was a really hot topic of discussion on this show. We've really been talking a lot about Devin Haney, and I'll let Aaron definitely take the lead. I know Aaron and I sat there and watched that fight. I'll let Aaron kind of lead us off and his thoughts on what he thought about Haney, because if I go first, it's going to be a problem. So let's talk about that. Aaron, get into it. What do you think about Devin Haney and the Ramirez fight?
Yeah, for the Devin Haney fight, I just really thought it would have went out different for Devin. I felt like he should have came in and knowing he had something to prove, because he just got knocked down on his butt easily. So I feel like he should have came in there and really took care of it, like handled this dude, folded him up like a suitcase, and got out of Times Square. But that really wasn't the case. He was just, I mean, he was just running. I mean, he was
Call
just
it like it
waiting.
is, man. Call it like it is.
I mean, no, I don't want to say he was running, but like he was kind of waiting for his opponent to do something. And in the end, I mean, it is both their fault. Nobody in that match really did anything. So I mean, they were both kind of running from each other. Devin Haney had his moments for maybe a couple rounds where he started throwing a jab a little more, started really stringing together his punches. But maybe besides maybe 3 rounds out of the whole 12-round fight. But to me, it was very disappointing. I thought Devin should have came in there and took a different approach to this. But maybe he just wanted to come out with the win here tonight and move on to the next one.
Yeah, so Isaiah, did you get a chance to watch most of that fight or you did not?
I watched the entire fight with you.
Go ahead.
I mean, Aaron said it best. I mean, that entire fight was really disappointing. It felt like Haney was running, to be honest with you, because he spent most, especially the first couple of rounds, he spent most of the rounds, jumping around, getting away, really looking for counter punching rather than, doing what I've seen Haney do best and outbox his opponent with just pure skill and speed. So, it was definitely weird to see him do this new tactic. I think it probably was a message for Ryan Garcia, that he could do something different. But I wasn't impressed at all with Devin Haney's fight. I mean, they threw as little punches as possible. So, it was another boring fight. I just wasn't impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I echo the same sentiment as the boys. I thought that, and it's interesting being that boys are getting, that's right, both of them were sitting there, they were getting pretty pissed at Antonio Tarver, who I thought did a really good job of commentating. Also, I want to say shout out to my guy, Jim Lampley, who is just a legend in the commentating business, HBO guy, and he just absolutely did a great job. And it was great to hear his voice again. And I thought Antonio Tarver was right on. He jumped on that immediately as soon as the fight started. Maybe a little premature, but he saw something and said immediately, I don't like what's going on with Devin Haney and the way that he's moving his feet. It just looked like he was just in panic mode, which, again, I think that's something that is understandable. Anytime you have a guy that takes a loss like how he took a loss, and that's what we talked about that, as Aaron likes to say, if you back the tape up, I've certainly been talking about that. It's always, whenever a guy gets beat like that, it's a reason for concern. And they had Shane Mosley in the corner. They brought Shane Mosley in, who was one of my favorite fighters, and Shane went through the same thing when he fought Vernon Forrest, and he took a very similar type of a terrible beating in there. And when Shane came back, it took him several fights to really get himself under control. He was the same way, just kind of in the ring, like, I don't want to get hit, I don't want to get hit, I don't want to get hit. But I think Haney was even worse, where he just didn't want to get hit. But let me ask you guys, this question, and me and Aaron talked about this that night. How much of it, Aaron, I'll actually go first. How much of it do you guys see as being a situation where maybe, and Isaiah touched on it, do you think that was something maybe that they were trying to test out in the ring in preparation for, a rematch with Ryan Garcia? Do you think that was any part of the strategy? Or do you think it was just more he just couldn't get into rhythm because he was a little bit concerned about getting hit?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I felt like it wasn't truly 100% Devin Haney who went in there in the ring that night with that strategy. I felt like Devin Haney would be doing something else, but it's hard to say because I don't know. But I felt like it wasn't 100% Devin Haney. But I also felt like Devin Haney was kind of on board with it, and due to the fact that obviously he just took a bad loss. So I feel like it was kind of a little bit of both. But I feel like more on the coaching end of it, I feel like that was kind of the strategy. It's like just relax, don't get hit, try to get in the swing of things, and move on to the next fight so you can fight Ryan again.
Yeah. Isaiah?
I mean, people are going to call it whatever they want to call it, ring rust. Maybe he was still scared, getting back in the ring. Either way, that just wasn't the Devin Haney that I've seen over the past years of him, getting up and being champion. I mean, I've never seen him do anything like that before. And I can't really even say that it worked, to be honest, because it wasn't even like the other guy was an aggressor. Both guys were kind of just running away. So I don't know what the plan was because they never switched up. He never became more lethal or anything like that. He just stayed hopping around the ring. So I personally thought it was a different method that they wanted to try out for the Ryan Garcia rematch.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that Ramirez, I think, just does not have the skill set to cut Devin Haney off and to stop him from that movement. So I think that was more, Ramirez, I think, was willing to shoot it out, and Devin was not. Which, again, the strategy wise, it kind of makes sense because, as I said last week's show, in watching that Haney and Ryan Garcia fight again, I felt like the spots where Haney was just boxing, doing his thing, he was fully in control of the fight. It just came those spots where, for whatever the reason, Ryan stepped it up. I don't know. Devin just had no defense for that. So I kind of feel like, okay, maybe they were working on like, when he steps it up, you got to learn how to move and get out of the way and to be disciplined with that. So again, like Aaron said, we don't know. We just can anticipate, what that is. And I would say too, I think it's probably a little bit of both. I think they definitely obviously had to work on something in terms of saying, you know what, we got to figure something out to where when that guy come on you, rushing towards you like that, you got to figure out, how can you move and groove and get yourself back together. That leads us into now, listen, so far, I guess I would say the story of the weekend as far as boxing is concerned so far. Still got one more fight, as I said. Inoue is going to be fighting in a little while. I don't anticipate him having much trouble, but and then we talk about Canelo. But I think that this is definitely the story of the weekend so far, and that is going to be, Ryan Garcia's fight versus Rolly Romero. I don't know. I mean, and as the fallout comes and people are talking about it, I feel bad for Ryan in a certain sense because for me personally, let me just say this. I'm not a big proponent of the whole, steroids thing and people really ragging on him and really saying that was a huge factor of the fight. I'm not a guy who likes to say that. I'm not. I think steroids is obviously a factor in sports, but I just think that it's not like I always personally believe whatever the sport is, it's not like somebody who's not a pro can just take steroids and you're going to be able to go into a sport and do something. Or if somebody even is a pro and they're okay at it. Barry Bonds, who's one of the great baseball players of all time, and he's probably the poster boy for steroids and being punished for it. But you have to be good to do what Barry Bonds did, whether he was shooting juice in his arms or however he was doing it. You have to be good. So I'm always leery about that. But this case, we'll get into this a little bit more. Let's talk about the fight first, but I want to put that on the table. You guys' thoughts on the fight. Isaiah, you can go first.
I definitely thought that was a really disappointing fight. Not just because Ryan lost, but just because of how he lost. Ryan wasn't really an aggressor as much as I would have loved to seen him be. He definitely was maybe like the first round. Me and you talked about it after the second round where he got that knockdown. It was kind of like his whole demeanor, his whole style kind of changed.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really that aggressive anymore, not throwing the jab as much. He kind of looked like he beat himself up. Rolly, I thought Rolly put on a beautiful fight. He did really well. Really figured out Ryan and caught him in the second round beautifully on the chin, knocking him down, really taking Ryan out of the fight. So Rolly fought well. Ryan just blew everything up. All the future plans is over.
Well, maybe we'll talk about that. Aaron?
Based on what I watched from that fight, I mean, obviously I thought Ryan was going to win, so it's obviously a shocker. But I mean, if we really look at it from the standpoint now, is there like, because I noticed as soon as Ryan got up, he threw that left hook like maybe 4 times trying to get him down. After Ryan was knocked down, I realized this guy, he got up and he threw like 4 left hooks back to back to back to back. So in my opinion, I feel like if you are able to stop Ryan Garcia's left hook, you should have no problem beating Ryan Garcia.
But
that is easier said than done because the dude is lightning fast, and if you get caught, even just the slightest of that left hook, and then you can really go down. You can really go down. But I don't feel like Raleigh fought. He fought well, but I don't feel like he fought a outstanding fight.
Excellent.
I feel like just after that knockdown, it was kind of just downhill for Ryan. He wasn't really throwing, and it was just it was an interesting fight to see. Interesting. It was very
excellent point. Excellent point. I'm gonna get you in there, Isaiah. I heard you trying to jump in there, but I want to jump on that real quick. excellent point. I agree with what Aaron is saying, and I was going to ask that question. He took that one out of my mouth. Do we feel that how much of that was just great Raleigh, or how much of it was bad Ryan? And I agree with Aaron also, and I think Isaiah seemed like he's going to say he doesn't agree. Yeah, if you take the left hook away from Ryan, it ain't that much there. I mean, he's a hard puncher. I think he got a good right hand. He got good speed. So I'm not saying that he don't have nothing behind those punches. But I do think that if you could take that left hook once again, why I think that it was so disappointing that Dev lost to this guy. Like everybody know that ain't no revelation. We know that's his best punch, and he's not really that great of a setup guy to where it's like, nah, he sets his left hook up beautifully. Not really. He's fast with it, I think. Tank said he's not even quick with it, but I think he's quick with it. But even more reason to be very, very concerned with why couldn't Devin Haney stop that? Isaiah, your thoughts on Ryan being a one hook fighter? Do you agree?
I agree. I agree. No, I was definitely gonna agree with Aaron there because the way I see, Rolly performing the perfect fight was keeping Ryan's left hook at bay. He figured out, how to play good defense on it, how to counter it, which led to the knockdown in round two. So, that's what I mean when I say Rolly did fight a really good fight. Obviously, do I think Rolly can beat anybody else? I don't really think so. But Ryan definitely needs to have some more tricks in his bag because there's no denying that that one left hook has put 20 people on the floor and has knocked them out cold. So it's really a powerful punch. But when you're getting up, that's why he lost the Tank so quickly, so easily. When you fighting these top class boxers and you're allegedly not on PEDs, that's not going to be enough. You need more. You need more.
I mean, well, look, Isaiah just put it on the table. He served it up, so let's eat it. Let's eat it. What are you guys thinking about the allegations? I put a little appetizer out there. Now we got to eat it. Do you think that that's a factor? That that's what's coming out. That's what I'm hearing. That's the word down here in Vegas. That's what I'm hearing a lot. That's what the talk is. Oh, you see what happens when he's not on PEDs? Do we think that the poor performance is attributed to the fact that he didn't juice up? Do you guys agree with that, Aaron?
Oh, just to say the waterfall thing went up.
Oh, you saw it. Good.
Just went up. But
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, I can see it.
But yeah, in my opinion, I wasn't really thinking of Ryan when he was accused of using the steroids. I wasn't really thinking of that when he lost his fight. Yes. I just felt like he genuinely just came in that ring and he just didn't have a good fight, and he just got outboxed, and he got his left hook just completely taken away from him. So, I mean, at that point, he's been relying on it to beat Devin Haney and these big stars. So, I feel like once you take that away, it's no good.
Yeah, Isaiah.
Nah, I can agree with that, but seeing, just how he beat Haney and then how he just lost, the question is always going to rise. Yes. Was he on PEDs? How can a guy that had such a dominant performance lose in such a bad way to where I think somebody had a 119-109 card?
Yeah.
So you was getting blown out. Like, it wasn't a close fight.
Yeah.
So that, I can understand, why everybody, was like, oh, he definitely was on PEDs now. Now that he's not, this is what Ryan looks like. I don't know personally. I would like to believe that he wasn't on PEDs, and like Aaron said, he just had a bad night yesterday. But I don't know.
You can't. I agree with you. You can't. And like I said earlier, I tend not to. I don't like to go there with athletes, man, because they're pros, man. And Ryan been boxing a long time. So, but under the circumstances, as you just said, again, excellent point. The boys is on point today. 119, 109. That's just come on. I mean, and I don't want to, with all due respect to Raleigh. Riley's a good fighter. I think, listen, he's been in there and he's always been competitive. Tank, knocked him senseless, but he was competitive and he's there for a reason. He got this fight for a reason. So I give Riley his credit, but I don't think he's that much better than Ryan, a 119, 109. And that fight was, and that's a fair, that's not something, but that's a bad card. That's actually a pretty good scorecard, so I can see somebody saying that. And so you do have to kind of say, hold on a second, what the hell is going on here? That seems like I can't argue. If somebody who was on the show, we had a guest on the show, and they said, no, this dude, PEDs is a factor as to why he beat Ryan. I really can't argue that point. We just can't, because I don't know what happened. I will say this in Ryan's defense. I know that Ryan, and once again, we're all on second thought, sports show on the mental conditioning podcast, and we talk about mindset, and it's very important. And that's one of the things that Ryan Garcia has talked about throughout his career, is battling mental wellness and having some mental issues. And he has, had bad performances, and he has lost before. And he talked about that, about really struggling mentally. And so I kind of felt that. One thing I like about him, he's not an excuse guy. When he lost the Tank, I think he had an issue, physical issue. He didn't use that excuse. He didn't use no excuse on Friday night. But I do think that, something's going on with him. You know what I mean? A lot of pressure. It's hard to be top dog in any sport. And it's hard to be top dog in boxing, because the people are, expecting a lot of you. You have to be able to be in shape. I want to ask you guys a little bit about that too, how you thought he looked. You have to be in shape at all times and be ready to go. And sometimes physically, mentally, that gets to you. And I just feel like he just mentally, and then, shout out to Derek James, his trainer was trying to push the train. And said, come on, man, you work for this. Come on. He kept telling him. At one point, which was very profound to me, he asked Ryan, oh man, what's going on? You all right? And Ryan just said, like, I don't really care. And that's when, the coach really tried to push him and say, yo, come on, come on. But I think mentally that wasn't physical. I think mentally he was just like, what's the difference? So physically though, what did you guys see? I know that I didn't realize that, but he did go up to 7 pounds. They were fighting at 140 last on Friday night. It was 147. So yes, of course they're going to be a little bit bigger. Certainly Raleigh looked the part. I mean, the 147 on him looked really, really good. He didn't look like he was out of shape at all. Didn't look flabby at all. It just really looked good on him. That could be an issue even going forward for everybody else. Maybe 147 is the weight for Raleigh. But what did you guys think about how Ryan physically looked?
I just got something to add on.
Yeah.
Real fast. I saw on online on a press conference, Ryan he was talking about how like the aroma of it just kind of felt like a sparring session, and it felt like weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the exact context of what he was trying to use it as an excuse.
This was after the fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know the exact context of it being as it's an excuse, but I just wanted to add that on that. He kind of felt like it was like I guess maybe the aroma threw him off. What are you implying? I'm not entirely sure.
Okay. What did you think about how he looked physically? Did he look okay to you? In terms of his weight, did he look, in shape?
I mean, he could have done a little bit better. I felt like, but I mean, nothing too majorly like terrible.
Right.
But I just feel like 147, he shouldn't be around there. I feel like he should drop. I think that's what.
Stay at 140.
Yeah, he doesn't belong at 147 to me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Isaiah, what did you think about? Any thoughts on how you thought Ryan physically looked?
He didn't look the best, in my opinion. I mean, it kind of looked like he didn't care a little bit. Kind of gave me that sort of like vibe. Mm-hmm. And then you look at his opponent across the ring. Rolly looked like a monster. One of the commentators is like, yo, I can't stop staring at his muscles.
Yeah.
Like, Rolly looked real good. Ryan kind of looked a little, not that great.
Yeah. I agree with that. And like I said, I think that for me, as we move into the Canelo fight, but I think that for me, and it's really appropriate to our show. I think that's really a mental thing at this point for Ryan, because he just, of course, he didn't seem to have the same energy, but as both guys have stated, it just looked like he didn't care. And that's not physical. That's more, mental. And that it's just, boxing is very tough, man. You have to really mentally be in it. Again, you think about it, guys are punching in your face. You have to get punched in the face and be willing to get punched in the face again and again and again. These guys are punching each other 200 plus times a night. That didn't happen, obviously, for the fights that happened this weekend. But in a good fight, that's what the type of numbers that we're talking about. So let's transition into last night's fight with Canelo. So obviously, the business of it, I want to get into that. I've been talking about that all morning, but let's again talk about the fight. The business of all of this, we'll come back and talk about it because this is also very important. But let's get into the fight last night. I'm getting mixed things. Again, the vibe out here in Vegas is a little mixed. But what do you guys think about, I'm going to call it the fight?
Hold on, before we get into Canelo, I looked it up briefly, but I didn't really get an answer. Who won the Bacoli? Did Bacoli win?
Oh,
Or did he
no,
draw?
no. Excellent. Thank you, Aaron. No good. No good.
No,
No
he didn't
good.
look good.
No good.
But Coley lost.
Coley lost. What happened was, and I'm a little bit surprised. Listen, because Bacoli was in shape, no excuses. But we know the guy. I'm sorry. Do you have his name, Aaron, that he fought?
No.
We know him. We've seen him before. But he's, much more of a natural-looking boxer, in shape guy, muscle-bound guy, and he just moved. He just moved. He just stuck and moved. He really boxed kind of similar to what we can really talk about with Canelo. The guy just really boxed an excellent fight, and Bacoli got really frustrated. He kept yelling at him like, "Yo, stand here and fight!" But that's not. Bacoli's wrong. Why would the guy stand? Why would the guy stand toe to toe with a man of Bacoli's size and punching power? And he just really boxed rings around Bacoli. It's just call it like it is. Very disappointing because I know all three of us are very big Bacoli fans. So we did not want to see that happen. But no, he lost, and he. Let me correct that. He did not lose. It was a draw. Sorry, I thought he lost the fight, but they called it a draw. Again, the guy really, really was moving, and McCauley just couldn't catch up to him. And he looked like he was a little afraid not to get hurt, but he was a little afraid to run out of gas because he needed to just stalk this guy because the guy was not going to stand there and fight him. And a few rounds, McCauley did do that, which he won those rounds, but he needed to consistently keep his foot on the gas pedal. Guys, go back and watch that fight. It was very interesting to see what McCauley, but it was a draw, so obviously they'll do it again. Thank you for that, Aaron. Thoughts on the Canelo fight since you went up, Aaron?
For what I watched it very vaguely. I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't too into the fight. I watched it
Not
very
too much
vaguely.
to see. Not too much to see.
But it was very disappointing to me. Listen, people are blaming both Canelo and I forget the opponent's name.
Skull,
So
something like that.
Skull.
Yeah, Skull. People are blaming the both of them for the terrible performance I was put on Saturday. But I feel like for Skull, I don't know how the guy fights, but I know how Canelo fights. And Canelo is not usually the one to pounce on you through the first 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he'll start to get on you through 5 if he feels good, but usually like around 5 to 7 rounds, then he'll really start getting on you. But Canelo's not really the aggressor type, especially to start off the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I haven't seen Canelo really do that. And this guy, he was moving all around the ring. So when you put those two together, you had to expect that nothing was going to happen. That was a very disappointing fight.
Yes.
I think even Canelo said at the end, he was like, he was very disappointed himself, talking about how the dude didn't want to fight and how these guys just come for a paycheck. But Canelo, I feel like the only way for Canelo to really fix that is to get these big time fights, which is coming up. So we'll see how he does against Terrence.
Good. Isaiah?
It's the name of the week. Disappointing. Another disappointing fight. Aaron couldn't have said it any better. Canelo's really not a guy to pounce on somebody like that, especially when you're running. Canelo never runs after you. He'll walk up to you and then get in a stance and try to jab you, body shot you. But, Skull was just all over the ring, all over the place. And Aaron's right. Canelo really was frustrated by that. In the interview, he even said that he hates that kind of fighter. Because that's boring. Nobody wants to see that. That's whack. So I definitely thought, it was another bad fight, but looking forward to the September 12th fight with him and
We'll get to it. Well, that's really the hot topic down there. I agree with you guys. And the talk about it is the last night's fight. People are kind of criticizing Canelo. I've seen some people even saying that they thought that Skull was robbed. That Canelo should have lost the fight.
What?
Yes, yes. It's tricky because both guys had belts, so it's not one because somebody tries to say, well, look, you have to take the belt from the champion, but Canelo was champion too. And so in this particular case, frankly, and this is probably not the right thing, but it's the truth. Even if Canelo didn't have a belt and Skull had all the belts, he's Canelo Alvarez. So frankly, in those situations, if you're the Skull camp, you have to know we have to treat him like he's a champion. So we're gonna have to take it from him. He got the belt, but we're gonna have to take it from him. And running like that, I understand strategy, and I'm a big boxing guy. I like boxers who can use strategy. As I said, the guy who fought Bacall, I don't begrudge what he did, because Bacall was the same thing. He was calling the guy out in the middle of the fight. He stopped fighting, like, yo, bro, what are you doing? Let's fight. But the guy was smart and like, no, I'm not gonna fight you. You're gonna beat me. But again, you still have to go in there and you have to throw punches. And again, Skull he just was just as Canelo said, he just was just running. He would throw one or two shots, and that's just not good enough. Particularly again, if you're trying to beat a Canelo Alvarez, they're not going to give it to you that way, man. And so people are criticizing Canelo, saying that he could have done more. He tried to cut the ring off, but I guess that leaves a little credence to what Aaron is saying, is that that's not really his style either, to necessarily stalk a guy and run him down like that. And so I guess he feel like he didn't have to do that. Could he have done more? I think so. I think Canelo could have done more to try to stalk the guy out. I don't think he was afraid to get hurt by this guy. So he definitely could have. But that was not enough. I was thinking about the Bivol fight when Bivol fought Canelo. And Bivol is also a boxer, but he knows how to also put that power and that thunder on you, which he did. So he moved, but he made sure that it was obvious that he was beating Canelo, and when he has to stand there and fight, he does. Very similar to what Bivol has to do against Better Beef to beat him. You can't just run and think you're going to win a decision. It doesn't work like that, particularly when, no disrespect to Skull, but the fact is, in terms of, who he is, no disrespect, he's nobody. Who is he? And so to take that title over Canelo was just impossible. But overall, bad for boxing. I think bad for the setup of the Terrence Crawford and Canelo fight. I think that was just not good. It was just something that you want to try to, get fans. I've been talking about that this all morning. We want to try to build these fights up. I don't think they did anything good to build these fights up. I know that Terrence Crawford was there. I don't know if you guys saw the little face-off that they had in the ring.
Yeah.
I was a little bit intrigued by that because I saw, looking at the size, Bud is taller than Canelo, which was interesting. The size part about it, who's naturally bigger, I'm going to have to still give it to Canelo. But, looking at that fight right there, Bud fights sort of a similar fighter. I'm sure that he's going to be moving. However, his skill level in terms of landing and shots is going to be much more prevalent. So, in that, looking at that, I have to say, I'm leaning a little bit more toward. I had Canelo, but I'm leaning a little bit more towards Bud. Seeing that performance, seeing how much trouble Canelo had with being able to cut the ring off and not really wanting to put that effort in. What are you guys thinking about that fight, Isaiah?
It's going to be a completely different fight. Terrence Crawford is never ever going to be that one guy to run away. I feel like Terrence Crawford will be that one guy that'll stand in the middle of the ring and be like, "Yo, let's go." But Crawford's smart.
Might be a problem, but go ahead.
Crawford's smart. He wouldn't actually do that in a fight against Canelo. But I promise you, there's not going to be a lot of running away. There's not going to be 3 punches landed in a round between both fighters. It's not going to be like that. Somebody, and I'm calling it right now, somebody is going to get knocked out.
Ooh, all right.
I'm calling it right now.
Okay, all right. Aaron?
I don't really have any confidence lost after this fight. I don't know how you could lose confidence, honestly, because Terrence, he is way more aggressive than this skull dude.
Yes.
100%.
Who just ran around.
Yes.
I can understand what you're saying about Terrence. He moves around the ring, but he moves with a purpose. So
I agree.
He moves to set you up to get a quick jab or maybe a 1-2 punch combination, something. Yeah. So I feel like he is gonna throw, and once if he gets caught, it's gonna be a big problem for Terrence.
If Canelo catches Crawford, I agree.
Yes. It is going to be a big problem.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And once he gets caught and potentially knocked down, I don't see him coming back unless it's the end of a round. If it's middle of the round, I don't see him making out of that round. I don't see him making him out of the round.
Huh? What do you say, Isaiah?
I said, damn.
No, I kind of agree with that. I kind of agree with his assessment. But that's why this fight is hard, because the key word is if. Bud is that good that, particularly if the size is not that much of a factor, that he can go 12 without getting caught. I think he can. But then again, you don't think he can?
Terrence is jumping up 3 weight classes and is fighting the top guy. Like that's an impossible story. If he pulls off a win, I'll be surprised.
Yeah,
I would be surprised.
Yeah. I totally agree. Let's finish up with. There's so much more we can do, but I want to finish up with basketball. We got a lot to do with basketball, but I want to finish up with what we were most excited about. Is the Haney, and we have our most probably biggest debates about is Haney and Ryan Garcia, and that really, I mean, we really just got derailed with that situation. But let's just put it on the table. How are you guys feeling about that? Is that something that right now you guys would be interested to see, or would you just rather, Raleigh step in there and fight either a rematch with Ryan or Devin getting on with Raleigh, or again we go forward again with the rematch between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney? What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I'm not really interested in a Raleigh and Devin Haney fight at all.
I agree.
I don't really want. It's not something I want to see. I would like to see the rematch. I would like to see that before he gets at Devin Haney again. I feel like that needs to happen, and I feel like it should be in an actual arena where hopefully Ryan feels like he's. Because if that was a fact, I don't know if that was again. I don't know if that's what he was implying, but in an arena where Ryan feels comfortable and where he can actually do his thing. So I feel like I want to see that rematch before Ryan gets at Devin. And I feel like when they do that rematch, I feel like Devin should be fighting around that time as well.
Yeah.
Considering the performance he just had. I mean,
yes.
So I feel like he should fit in another fight if they're gonna do a rematch and then they fight.
Agreed. I totally agree. I couldn't say it better. I didn't even think about it like that, but I totally agree with that 100%. That probably should be the way they go. If I was in both camps, I would push for that. Like you said, Ryan need to turn around, take care of business. Again, excellent assessment, Aaron. That could be a factor because that arena, I mean, I don't obviously was not an arena, but being in Times Square, it was like they was in a morgue, for God's sakes. It was so quiet in there, no energy, no juice. I mean, really the crowd should have been in an uproar because Ryan was getting it handed to him, and they just were kind of sitting there as if they was watching Sinners, the movie. So I don't know what was going on with that, and I assure you, as an athlete, you do love the energy of the crowd. You feed off of that. Certainly for a boxer, and there was just no energy in there. So Ryan could be possible. As I agree with you. Let's see that fight again in an arena, and it also would be good for Devin Haney. He does need another fight under his belt to get whether that's going to be apparently his new style or just him start to get his nerve back together with getting hit. So excellent assessment there. Let's run into basketball. A lot to also get to in that situation too. Let's start at the top with our beloved. For some of us, our beloved New York Knickerbockers. Let's talk about that. It went 7. I have to backtrack myself a little bit.
6.
Go ahead.
It went 6.
Excuse me. It went 6. I'm sorry. It went 6, but a good hard 6 games. I have to backtrack myself a little bit because the reason why I'm saying it went 7 because it could have very easily gone 7 games. And I remember last week I did say, and Aaron did kind of correct me. So I give him that round. He won that round. Aaron said, you know what? It looks to me like the Knicks have established that they were just the better team. And Aaron kind of said, no, I don't think so. And he kind of was right. You know what I mean? Even now, the Knicks won the series, but to really say that they were dominant over the Detroit Pistons probably would be an unfair assessment of that series. But That's my opinion on it. Let's talk about that first. Let's start at the top. Just talk about your opinions on how you thought the series went. Isaiah, go first.
Um, as a Knicks fan, I'm really disappointed in the Knicks. Um, we really do have a good team. Our bench is obviously probably really lackluster. We really only got like one or two good pieces off the bench. But, going up against the Pistons, who obviously you can't count them out. They're a playoff team, not a playing team. They're a playoff team.
Yes.
I definitely thought we could get out of there in five games, but every game was just incredibly
Every game.
tough.
Yes.
Came down to the wire, and it just really brought down the confidence of what I feel the Knicks can do and make some noise. Maybe once upon a time I'm like, yeah, I think the Knicks can take a game or two off the Celtics. Talking to me now, I don't really know. I don't think so anymore. So definitely was there's a lot the Knicks need to do in the offseason. I'll say that.
Yes. Aaron?
Off this series, based off this series, I'm not really happy with the Knicks right now. I mean, there was just too many games that were close, too many games where we were down double digits, had to make the comeback. There's two, and that final game we were up double digits in the fourth, and we just let it. I mean, we went down 8, maybe with 5 minutes to go. We were lucky we came out with the win out of there, honestly, because we even Carl Anthony Towns even fouled out. So I mean, that was really honestly that was a very lucky win, uh, but based on what Isaiah's saying, with Boston, I mean, obviously I feel like Boston Celtics are gonna win, but we didn't do too bad against them during the season. It was just
Yes, we did.
no, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
No, we didn't. I mean, we didn't take a game, but I'm saying we didn't get absolutely destroyed every game. I remember this one game we didn't lose by too much. It was only really Jason Tatum we only have to worry about there. But other than that, I feel like we might get swept. But yeah.
Well, I mean, again, I agree with the guys. The Knicks, it just was such a struggle. And, let's give credit to, at the same time, let's give some credit to the Detroit Pistons. They played hard. I do still think that the Knicks do have a little bit more talent than them. So it is disappointing and a little bit baffling as to why. And let's talk about that right now. Why do we think that, the Knicks had, just a tough time with Detroit? Because let's face it, like I said, pound for pound, I think player for player, I think the Knicks do have a more dominant team, even though the Knicks bench is not that great. But at the same time, it depends. It depends. I mean, guys like Campaign, he did have a big game. He could come in and have a big game and give you something. But I just think overall the Knicks have a better team. OG and Josh Hart and JB and Cat, they talent wise they're better. So why do we think that they had so much trouble with the Detroit Pistons or just right now in the playoffs? Aaron?
Um, I mean, I feel like we're just not playing too much of an organized basketball game right now. I feel like we could definitely be doing better passing around the ball because I mean it's kind of just like once playoff basketball comes around, you see these guys are picking up Jalen Brunson 94 feet. So I mean there's not really a lot he can do from there. So that's when the factor of passing the ball comes around because I feel like when Carl Anthony Towns had a 20 plus game every single time in this series, I'm pretty sure we won.
Yeah.
Like every time. So I feel like if we get the team more incorporated there, I feel like we would have had no problem with the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah. Isaiah?
Playing the Knicks are hard. They're a hard team because what we're doing now, we've done all season long. So every team knows the perfect defensive scheme to run. They know what to do, who to stop. We've been playing the same 5 dudes 40 minutes a game since the All-Star break. So, it gets a little hard, around playoff time where everybody's truly, locking in. They got great defense now. They know the schemes. They know who's gonna sag where on defense and everything like that. And then going into our bench, we really only got Deuce Campaign. That's about it. We don't really have a deep rotation like the Celtics have. Detroit, honestly, I think has a better, deeper rotation than we do. Um, like I don't know, it just wasn't.
It's tough, man. And I agree with both of the guys. Again, I think that listen, I'm gonna put it out there, and it's a hard situation. Because as Isaiah said, this is the way they've been playing all year long. So I can't really sit there and say like, well, they're off their game. They're not really off their game. That's just kind of how they play. Um, so we have to kind of look at that and say, well, what are we talking about? And frankly, what we're talking about is, and I'm an old school guy. This is where I get into it with the younger generation because I'm a big proponent of positions, and the point guard position to me is my favorite position. Now, it's a position that I actually played when I played basketball, and I understand that that position is really about getting the rest of your guys involved. And it becomes tricky when you can score the basketball. I know it from personal experience. When you know how to score the basketball and you can score, it gets tricky because it's like I can take this dude, all day. But it's still more important that, particularly if you have a Karl Anthony Towns or OG Edwards on your team that can score. You want to make sure that these guys are, and I'm sorry, I'm not mentioning Mikal Bridges is also tremendous scorer. These guys can really score the basketball. On another team, they very well could be 20-point scorers a game. And so for them to get reduced to, not getting those numbers, and JB shot the ball 30 plus times. He had a good game. He scored a lot of points in that game 6, but he shot the ball 30 something times as a point guard. I just think that that's a little bit of an issue, particularly going into the playoffs. But at the same time, I don't blame him because that's the scheme. That's the system that, the Knicks are running. Is that going to work? I don't know. You know what I mean? To me, it was enough to beat Detroit. But certainly going against a team like the Celtics, who pound for pound, star for star, I think Tatum is a better superstar than Jalen Brunson. So right there, that's your added disadvantage. And then certainly the Celtics incorporate all of their pieces together extremely well. So the Knicks is in a tough position here, man. I mean, I'm not sure. Like I said, that series should not have been that difficult. But I do think that it's disappointing to me because at times, as I told the boys, when I'm watching them, it looks to me like a playground pickup game. Jalen Brunson at times gets the ball and he just, at some possessions, does not pass the ball one time. He just comes down and just dribbles, and then takes a shot. And that's kind of a problem when you have other scorers to me. I don't like the fact that Karl Anthony Towns plays so far from the basket. I know he can hit threes, but that to me, that's not even pick and roll offense. That's more just high screen offense. That's just set up for, the shooter, in this case, the point guard, to get his shot off. That's not good to me. If you're running pick and roll, I mean, one of the great pick and roll offenses of all time was Karl Malone and John Stockton. And Karl was the screener, but the real purpose of that pick and roll was to get the ball to Karl Malone. But that's why I said Knicks are not running, to me, pick and roll. They're just running high screens. That's just trying to free up shooters on the outside. So you're taking Karl Anthony Towns to me out of the offense. He should be down in the post. But let's see what happens going into this next series with the Celtics, which gets started, I think, Monday. So that should be very, very interesting. Let's get into another. Well, this was an upset. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Wolves. But if you go back, as Aaron likes to say, and rewind the tape, it's not an upset in my mind because I don't remember if I picked the Wolves, but I said that the Wolves was going to be very difficult out for the Lakers. I think it comes to fruition that you talk about the Knicks got a lot of work. The Lakers got a lot of work to do because, again, I say it after LeBron and Luka, and I want to say this also, put this on the table. Their coach, what's the guy's name? What's the Lakers coach?
JJ Redick.
JJ came out and made a statement in the press conference. Did you guys see this? And he says, one of the issues that we have, and let's be honest, obviously we was talking about, he says that, we're not in shape to really be in the playoffs. And he corrected that very quickly because I'm sure his phone was ringing while he was saying it. He said, I'm not saying everybody. But LeBron James was on the phone immediately like, bro, who are you talking about? You bet. I mean, and I'm in shape. So we know who he's talking about. He ain't talking about any other guys on the team. Let's put it on the table here. We don't have to. He's talking about Luka. He's not in shape, and that caused him not. I mean, just to go backwards, that caused Dallas, I think, their opportunities. But your guys' thoughts on the Lakers and Wolves series, Aaron?
I feel like it was a very disappointing series for the Lakers. I mean, there was just times where I mean, of course, Luka was not in the best shape that he was, but he was still putting up numbers against them. So it
I agree.
wasn't really a really like a being in shape type of thing. I feel like, but it could be as well because the Minnesota Timberwolves, they're a young, high paced team as well, so you have to keep up with them. But I also feel like they just didn't come together as a team. The Lakers,
Mm-hmm.
like there was just one game where maybe Luka scored big and then Braun had like 14 points.
Mm-hmm.
Braun scored big and Luka not putting up Luka numbers that he should be doing. And then we obviously got the supporting cast. I don't remember what Reeves did. I don't think he was playing. I don't think he played that well this series.
Yeah, okay.
But then there's the Lakers supporting cast, which was honestly just non-existent. I mean, they just weren't there. They didn't show up. So I mean, it's kind of hard to win with 2.5 people, kind of carrying your team there in the playoffs as well, going up against a young team who just got off a playoff run and with one of the best superstars in the game today. So yeah.
No doubt about it. Isaiah?
Listen, I'm gonna give you, Anthony. I don't remember if it was Aaron or Mr. Mark. I'm giving y'all a bunch of credit because I remember having that talk about this series, and we had a huge debate on whether shutting down Austin Reeves was the main priority of the series, and Austin Reeves did not play good the entire series at all. He had maybe like one good game out of the 5 or 6 that the series went. Yeah, that wasn't good. And then, like Aaron said, LeBron, 14, blah, blah, blah. Luka was really a toss up whether he can give you 30 or whatnot. That wasn't it. One thing I will say is that Anthony Edwards is really, really building his case for the face of the league.
Yes.
He's taking down LeBron. He's taking down KD. If Steph and them win tomorrow, he has a chance to take down Steph Curry too. So he has a chance to take down who a lot of people see as the 3 kings of the NBA.
Well, he put out the Joker last year.
And he put up the Joker last year. I mean, Anthony Edwards is a monster. He's a problem.
I agree, man. And like I said, I've seen this happen many times before. The playoffs is really about, the supporting cast. You don't get me wrong, your superstars like Anthony Edwards, they have to do their thing. But the real difference in series is going to be that third guy. And I knew that, certainly even if Austin Reeves did okay, I knew there was nothing else that the Lakers had. Nothing. And you can't have that. You have to have, and teams, believe me, when the playoffs come, they're gonna be like, you know what, we just do the best we can with the superstars. No one's stopping Anthony Edwards, no one's stopping LeBron, no one's stopping Luka. So we have to make sure that we're gonna stop Reeves. And he's not that good. I mean, again, that's no disrespect to him. The NBA is hard. And when a coach puts your name up on their blackboard, it's hard to be able to get over that. And to just show you how hard it is, the guys that can be put up on that board and still dominate, those are Hall of Famers. That's how good those guys are. That's how good you have to be. So there's no shame in saying that, they put my name up on the blackboard or what they call the smart board now, and I got stopped. There's no shame in that. You have to be a Hall of Fame type of a player or damn near close to be able to overcome a team saying, we're going to stop this guy, particularly going into a playoff series. I agree with everything you guys said in terms of also the credit that we're giving to the Wolves. And I want to jump to that really quick and say, what do you guys think? We had this debate earlier in the week. I got laughed at off the air about what do you guys think about how far can the Timberwolves go? I said, and I got, torched, that I think that the Wolves, can actually go to the finals. And if they go to the finals, they got a shot to win the doggone thing. So I stand by that. I'm not saying that I put them as the favorite, but I am saying that I give them a real legitimate shot.
Are they playing OKC next?
No, they play either Houston or Golden State.
Oh, well, they're gonna have to go through OKC at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they have a great chance at beating whoever comes out of the series tonight, or what is it tomorrow?
I think it's tomorrow.
I think it's tomorrow.
Is it tonight?
I think it's tonight.
Is it? I don't know.
It's tonight, 8:30.
Yeah.
8:30.
So whoever comes out the series tonight, I feel like the Minnesota has a great chance at beating them. I don't see them being as an upset beating the Houston Rockets or Golden State. But I feel like they get stopped once if Denver somehow makes it to the conference finals, which I don't think is going to happen. I feel like then they have the opportunity to go to the finals, but I don't see them beating Oklahoma City. I
Okay,
really don't.
fair enough. But like I said, they beat him a couple times during the season. So, but look, playoffs is different. So I'm not going to sit here and say, I understand what you're saying. Let's give Oklahoma City their full run and give them their full credit. I would certainly say that they're the favorites. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm definitely going to put Minnesota over Oklahoma City as a favorite. Oklahoma City has to be the favorite, but I wouldn't be shocked. Because you got to remember, for one thing, you got to remember too about the playoffs. The playoffs is about momentum and which team can roll. And knocking out LeBron James and Luka Doncic, as you guys saw. So one of you said it to me during the week, like this dude is, and Anthony Adams is my favorite player, so I don't say too much bad about it, and that's nothing bad. But he's on the road, man. That dude is mad confident. He was walking around LA in the streets, talking that talk, and he can walk the walk. And so when a guy feels that way, I feel in my mind like, watch out. You know what I mean? He believes in his mind that we can beat anybody, and once that happens, watch out. So that's my
I
thoughts.
mean, yeah, I understand that, but we're talking about Anthony Edwards, who is obviously no doubt about it, a superstar. But we're talking about him matching up against the potential MVP of the league.
Yes.
So those two cancel each other out, or
Yes.
somebody just completely kills it. So somebody just goes off for like 50.
Yes.
So either way that happens. And then we just gotta worry about the rest of the team. And I feel like Oklahoma City, even if you can say that Minnesota has more bench depth than them, but I feel like OKC they just play basketball so well and in sync that it's just like it's so hard to stop a team playing basketball as good as they do.
Who is Oklahoma City going to play next?
Denver.
Okay, so you know what? I'm really curious about that series because, like I said, we can't. Oklahoma City looks like monsters right now because they walked through that first round so easily. I don't think that's going to be that easy against Denver. Do you guys give Denver any shot to win that series,
No.
Isaiah?
I would say no too.
Yeah, I'm going to say no as well, but I do think that it's not going to be a sweep. I think Denver will challenge Oklahoma City some. Would we agree or disagree?
If not a sweep, 5.
Damn, I'd say 6.
I say 6 as well. But that's going to be an interesting series to see. I think to speak to Aaron's point, how well Oklahoma City comes through that is going to determine, I think, believe it or not, if Minnesota should get there, how that series will go. Because if Oklahoma City goes in there and just destroys Denver as well, then their confidence is going to be sky high, just like Minnesota. So then I would lean towards definitely Oklahoma City doing it. Let's talk a brief moment about the Clippers in Denver. Disappointing series for me. I really wanted to see the Clippers pull it off. I am a big Kawhi Leonard fan. Just they got blown out of the water last night. They kind of ran out of gas, and they didn't get much from anybody else besides Kawhi. Final thoughts on that series?
Um, they fought hard against a former championship team because Denver they haven't really changed their team much, so they won championships and obviously their chemistry has to be good. So I mean that's obviously going to be a tough team to beat, and I feel like with the Clippers, they're never really fully together. Like it's always somebody's injured or something's happening. But I feel like with them being on
Yeah.
the court, not too many times their chemistry can't be too high, but I feel like they played very well basketball. I just wish that they would have played a better game last night and came away with the one.
I agree. Isaiah?
No, I mean, I agree with Aaron. I mean, this was a really, really, really hard series. These guys were really battling each other. Most, if not all, games went down to the last 2 minutes. Went down to the wire. Just, the last game, Clippers went out sorry. I mean, that 24-2 run in the third is really what killed, the entire thing. Kawhi Leonard, 22 points, 2 assists, 5 rebounds. He's could want a little bit more from him, but you can't really blame him too much.
Yeah.
James Harden was just completely quiet, and didn't even put up double-digit points. So
Pathetic.
That can't happen. That cannot happen.
Pathetic. I don't know. That's a killer. That's a killer. That's certainly a killer. So at what we have left here, let's kind of wrap up with saying, what are we thinking with what we have left, the way everybody is playing. Who do you guys see right now? Still very, very early. Oh, no. Let me back up. I got one other thing I want to do before we close out on that. I want to get your guys' thought on, obviously, Indiana took Milwaukee Bucks out of there. First of all, do we think that the Milwaukee Bucks, as we know it, are done?
Yes. 100%.
Aaron?
What do you mean?
The team, the way it's constructed.
I wouldn't say 100% because I feel like no, I wouldn't say 100% because they won the in-season tournament, so
They did.
They had some success.
They did.
But I feel like if they can manage to keep the duo of Dame and Giannis and just build a slightly better team around them, I feel like Giannis and Dame, they should be comfortable staying in Milwaukee if they just have a better supporting cast. Yeah, because Giannis outscoring the whole starting team, that's embarrassing. Come on.
Right. Yeah, I agree, Aaron. That's a good point. And you know what? I forgot about that until you said it. You got to give them. They did win the in-season tournament. So that's credit due there. But I do think that Giannis might have had it. He might not make it back there. I think he's a guy that strikes me. I'm not a big Giannis fan in terms of his game, but I do like him because he's a very competitive young man, and he wants to win the championship. And he's one of them guys that he don't play just to play. He plays to win championships. So I really like that about him. So I kind of can see him getting a little frustrated and wanting to play for the championship. Because right now, the last 2 years, let's be honest, he really has not played for the championship. They've been in the playoffs, but they not really somebody that you really felt like was in it to actually have a real shot at it. So it is what it with that. I wanted to get you guys brief wrap up on when we step off the sports thing just for a second, because I think it's kind of important. They did have the debacle with Halliburton's dad and Giannis at the end of the game. I think things like that are important, again, especially on the On Second Thought show, mental conditioning podcast. I just like to get different perspective from different generations. I know how I feel about it. From my standpoint, I like to get a younger perspective on what you guys thought about what happened there at the end of the game with Halliburton and Giannis, and ultimately Halliburton's dad being suspended, I guess, for the rest of the season or banned for coming to the games. Isaiah, go first.
I definitely thought what Tyrese's dad did was just completely uncalled for, disrespectful in every way imaginable. Emotions are high. Emotions are in the air. My season, speaking from Giannis' standpoint, my season is over. And especially in the way how they lost it, they had a really good chance to keep going, but Gary Trent forgot how to catch a basketball. Same way Malik Beasley did. He forgot how to catch a basketball. So, I'm already frustrated, that we lost, how we lost, and now I got his dad taunting me in the middle of the court, which is my job. You come into my job, my place. I don't know who had home court advantage or whatever, but either way, you just taunting me like that, disrespecting me. That was not right, and I think Tyrese Halliburton felt the same way too, because I think in an interview he was kind of like,
yes.
I don't know what the hell he was doing. That's crazy, and they got a lot of respect for each other. Tyrese. They try to bait Tyrese into saying some things about Giannis, but he's like, there's nothing I can say. Dude had 30, 20, and 10. So
Yes.
A lot of respect there between the two players. But for his dad, I don't know what went through his mind. I know he went on social media and publicly apologized too, but that I don't know what went through his mind in that moment, thinking that would be okay.
I agree, Aaron.
Yeah, I felt like that wasn't something that should be done at all. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that happen live on television or something. But yeah, the way he didn't even give it a second after they lost. The moment that buzzer went off, he just went on the court and just threw a poster in the guy's face, it was like a slap in the mouth, right after he lost. I felt like Giannis really did though. He handled the situation very well. considering he got a little chippy with one of the players. He could have he could have hurt Tyrese Halliburton's father. Like, you know, he didn't. He didn't. You know, he stayed civilized, and he even I think at the end he kind of was like I don't know. He wasn't really fighting with him, but like at the end there. But yeah, I just felt like that wasn't justified at all. I felt like the punishment for it. I feel like it's right and well deserved. I heard some people were mad at it, but I feel like it's well deserved because that was just uncalled for.
Yeah, I totally agree. The guys couldn't have said it any better. Only thing I would add to it, because again, they covered it all. The only thing I would add to it is I would like to give a shout out. And I don't like his game at all, and I don't like the Indiana Pacers, but I actually gained new respect for him. The way Tyrese Halliburton handled this was class one, perfect. I really want to give him kudos, and I really would like to give him a pat on the back and a shout out to say he handled this thing about as professional and as mature as anyone could handle it. You know, he called his dad out, but at the same time, as he said it, that's still my pops. You know what I mean? I love my dad, so I'm not gonna get up here and disrespect him and say anything bad about him. But obviously, what he did was wrong, and I'm not gonna fight what the NBA is gonna do in that situation. And he said it even that night. So it wasn't even something he had to think about, and somebody telling you need to say this. He was very candid about it from day one. Like, I didn't even know my pops did that. I'm sorry he did that. He got a little emotional about the situation. So I really want to give him a shout out to say he handled it just perfectly. I was very proud of him for that. And so, again, please, for God's sakes, these dads have to really try to control themselves. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing the league. That's embarrassing your children, your sons, to do something like that. That kind of goes into, if you guys didn't check it out, we talked about that even with the Sanders situation with that. So I'm going to also let's finish it up. Let's close it up and talk about overall wrap up. I think we wrapped up our boxing pretty good, but let's wrap up our basketball. What are we thinking now as the rain's starting to tighten up? We're losing some teams now. The pitches are starting to become clear. We need to go back and look at this. I'm sure we talked about this even with the show with Anthony and Mark, who I just got word probably in the next couple of weeks we're going to get them back on the show. So looking forward to that. But what are you guys thinking? Who's coming out of the East? Who's coming out of the West as the pitch is becoming a little bit more clearer? Ari, you can go first.
I still feel like it's gonna be OKC coming out the West, and as of right now, I strongly believe that it's going to be Cleveland coming out of the East.
Wow. Okay.
Because I'm not impressed with Boston's performance at all against Orlando. I really thought they were gonna handle business every game, like how OKC blew these guys out by 50. I'm not saying Orlando is a good team, obviously, but I mean these guys it's the Boston Celtics we're talking about. You guys should be whooping these guys up and just ready to move on to the next round. But it's a close game. They even took a game on them, and it was always close through at least three quarters. Like that shouldn't be. And they have a lot of guys banged up right now. So I strongly believe right now that Cleveland is going to come out the East.
Wow. Okay. I like that. Isaiah, what do you got?
I got OKC coming out the West, and I got Boston coming out the East. I'm not gonna flame their first round a little too much because Orlando's they're still a really good team. Once upon a time, they were sitting at the 4th seed in the conference until all their injuries happened, and then they just went straight down the drain. But Orlando's a really good team. You put Miami against Boston, they'll sweep them too. So I got OKC versus Boston. I got OKC winning the entire championship.
Wow. Who's Cleveland playing this next round?
Indiana. They play their first game today.
All right. So I'm gonna go. I tell you, I mean, I have to pick. So for now, and I'm making my picks loosely. I'm not standing by them for the rest of the playoffs, but I'm gonna pick them loosely. For right now, I'm gonna go with you guys and say that Oklahoma City. But I'm very curious about this Oklahoma City Denver series. To see how this series goes. If this is a war and Denver really is able to kind of put some doubt into Oklahoma City, I'm going to switch over to my guys, my Western Conference guys, and that is the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's my Western Conference team, my second favorite team in the league. Anthony Edwards is probably my favorite player in the league. So if that series turns out to be something that's competitive and Denver can put some, again, doubt into Oklahoma City, even if Oklahoma City wins, I'm going to say, but for right now, that didn't happen. So right now, let me stick to the question that I asked, and I'm going to say Oklahoma City to come out of the West. The East is very difficult to me because anything can happen. We're down on the New York Knickerbockers, but the Knicks do have enough talent to actually get hot and catch a rhythm and start to really make some serious noise. I'm not suggesting that. Only thing I can go on is what we have on the table currently. And for me, I'm going to say it's the Boston Celtics, just on the fact that they are champions, and I think that they have championship pedigree. I hear you. I hear you, Aaron. You're not the first person. A lot of people are really saying that Cleveland is going to, really do some damage. But I just think that, right now the Boston Celtics, just that fact that they're champions is going to be enough for me to put them over Cleveland. So I have Boston versus OKC. And right now, I mean, Isaiah opened it up to say who I think will win that, or who we think will win the championship. And for me, if it's OKC and Boston, I'm going to say Boston repeats as the NBA champions. Um, Aaron, did you give your pick for who would actually win the championship?
I couldn't tell you who wins the actual championship. I can tell you the finals matchup, but I couldn't choose. I can't choose.
All right, still early yet. So anybody got anything else that they wanted to throw out there on the table?
I got one thing.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get, everybody's, inside. Me and you talked about it briefly, but with how disappointing the Times Square card was, the Sheik lost mad money.
Yes, I believe that.
It cost mad money to set up the ring, to get all the boards and everything, to pay the fighters. And from what I hear, what you told me, it's an invite fight. So I don't have to pay to get in or nothing like that. I just got to show you an invitation. And there was charging like $60 on the zone.
Yes.
And then they lost more money because Ryan Garcia lost. So now people gonna look at that Ryan Haney rematch and they're like, I don't really want to watch that anymore. Because that's how I feel right now, 100%. I see how not how sluggish, just how Devin Haney performed and how Ryan Garcia lost. Thinking about it, I'm like, I don't really want to see that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I totally agree with you. I mean, it's so much there. That's why I kind of was like, I don't know, because I can go another hour on this one alone, because I've been talking about this all morning behind the scenes, because there's a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of even the stuff that we're trying to do in the mental conditioning movement, and even with the On Second Thought show, and what we're trying to put together going into September. And it's relevant because all of this that Isaiah just brought up is boxing business. And so to speak to what you just said, to me, I was very skeptical about the whole Times Square thing, and it didn't go well. I feel that they did lose a lot of money. I know I've been having this discussion. A lot of people keep saying, well, the Sheik's got a lot of money. Sheik's got a lot of money. Yes, he does. And that's the only reason why they were actually able to pull this off, because he got a lot of money. But in my opinion, it's not a good business move for boxing. Because again, if I'm wrong, please somebody comment, call us, let me know. Like, how are you really making money on that? They bought Times Square out. That costs a lot of money. They bought all the billboards. They cost a lot of money. You're not taking a whole lot in because you didn't have an influx of, like, I'm here in Vegas. The way it works in Vegas is that these hotels are going to contribute to the pot, because these hotels on a big fight weekend, they're all crowded. There's thousands of people coming in to see these fights. No one came to New York to see those fights because you weren't allowed in. It was only invited guests. So the hotels were not going to get involved in that. More than likely, most of the people were local people. So the hotels didn't make anything. The local shops, we're from New York, and we spend a lot of time in New York. So I'm telling you I know what time. I'm not telling you from a place that I don't live. I live there. So the local shops, from the local people, that's not going to be anything that they made extra from that situation. And then Isaiah stated it perfectly. From a boxing standpoint, we have a real disaster, because the hope was, which I didn't really realize, but I guess they had to fight on the Jumbotron. So people were watching it. The hope is that you had a great card where people, and even the producer, my lovely wife, talked about this morning, that she didn't think this would work. But sometimes you have people watching, oh my God, it was such a great fight. I definitely want to see these guys fight again. And so you gain fans that way. But the fight itself, the fights were all not even something that you got excited about. And then the doggone guy lost. So I just don't see how, you can really, how they really just came out to be something that was a good thing. There was no, and Aaron alluded to that. Aaron alluded to the guy possibly lost because of the atmosphere of it being in Times Square, which it was, again, it was totally dead. You have a bunch of people who are invited guests that, frankly, most of them don't even watch boxing. And so it was a dead atmosphere. I just think personally that it was just not a good, it was a good concept. I would not have gone that road. And I just think that it backfired. Aaron?
I don't really have anything to add. I think you guys hit it right on the mark there.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that I'm wrong, but like I said, I just think, and there's a lot more to be added to that. Again, I've been having a lot of discussions this morning about what do we think about, and I'll end on this note, everything is official. September the 12th, Bud Crawford and Canelo right here in Las Vegas. You can't see it from here, I don't think, but it's going to be in Allegiant Stadium, which is they just had WrestleMania there. I think they had 68,000 people, I want to say, in Allegiant Stadium. I don't see them being able to put 60,000 people in Allegiant Stadium for Crawford and Canelo. As boxing fans, we're super excited about it, but I just don't think that, and that's going to be another show, another topic of discussion, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that. And they didn't do anything with Canelo having a poor performance, maybe whether it's fault or not, and it not being in Las Vegas, it being in Saudi Arabia. Believe it or not, it doesn't help because you're not previewing the atmosphere. So great question, Isaiah. There's so much more we can add to that, but we're running short on time. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to the second to the On Second Thought sports show. We're very, very excited. So many different things going on. We're putting a lot of different things in place, and we want you guys to continue to listen. Isaiah?
Like and subscribe.
See you guys right here again next week.